Down the hill here, next to the pond. Beavers used to be in here, but they were, from what reported, illegally harvested, so there's no more beavers. They've done a number when they were here on trees. Now, in a video way back a year ago, I talked about this big tree here to give some perspective. How big it is. So what I want to do is I want to cut it into chunks and then try to take it back to utilize as the sides of the bench, or make it another bench, a wide bench with this log. So let me get cutting. I'll bring it back whenever I get where I need to be or think something good is going to come. That's the top part. Always wanted where a beaver has gnawed the tree down so I can put that by the tent. Now I need to cut the links for the sides of the bench. One is up by the wagon now. Now I just gotta cut the second one and roll it up here, and then make probably 3 trips with the piece I already have in there. I'm gonna only try to make 2. Oh, it's a heavy log. It'll work for what I want. Again, I have a tape measure. I have a tape measure. I can tell you how wide we're looking. 15 inches. Yeah, 15-inch diameter. It's going to get smaller on the next one. 13. So, next one to cut. Up the hill they rolled, and there they be. Now I got to get them in the wagon. One at a time is all we're going to move. And then that piece there, I'll put that by a tent. That was the most difficult part, was getting them up that hill, and from where that tree was setting to up here is about 15 feet elevation on a very, very steep terrain. So I will spare you the agony of me getting it one in the cart and dragging it or pulling it to camp, and I'll just see you back in camp when both of them are there. I brought these over here last night. You saw that. This morning before breakfast I debarked them. I'm going to let them dry. I don't know again when the tree fell, but still there's a lot of moisture in it, which is not a big deal to me. But what I'm doing now is I'm simply just squaring them up, so next week I can come up here and start working the project of creating this bench. So I'm back at where that log was cut yesterday for the side rails, or the corner post or whatever for the bench. I'm going to take and I'm going to split this log in half, 7 foot, and utilize that as the seat. There's some maneuvering I'll have to do, some trimming, but I'm going to see how well this is going to work out. Alright, got that cut in half. It's not as pretty as it was going real good about 65% of the way in. Then I started going downhill. But it is salvageable. There's nothing wrong with it. It's extremely heavy. Well, not as... Well, I went a little loofy there, but that is not bad at all. That is a pretty, pretty board. Heavy, but pretty. So, I'm going to get this piece up the top of the hill. I'll finish cutting that piece off, get it up to the top of the hill, and then just let it set until next week. So, I don't know weight-wise what that is. 7 foot by 14, I don't know what kind of wood it is. it's a wetter wood. It's wet. You might be able to see the incline there. I'm just taking it and flipping it end over end over end. Being careful where I put my feet so it doesn't come back on me. But one more flip and I'll have it where I need it to be, and I can bring the wagon over with the ratchet straps and then take it over to camp. I didn't know the lens was smudged the last couple of shots there. So I'm not going to bring the other one up, at least not now, until I absolutely know that I need it or don't need it. I don't think I'll need too much to handle. This one's too much to handle. And the purpose of the bench was to lay down. Brought the ratchet straps up last week. We got them last year for a tree stand, and I used a different method of hanging the tree stand. They were for the tree stand, and today and yesterday I've used them for two different jobs, so always good to have them. Alright, got that over here. The other one is just going to set. This is just the way it's going to be, but the gorilla cart absolutely came in handy here. There's no other way I would have gotten this over here. So the process of making this bench is going to be followed by the making of that bench, where I have it notched underneath, and then the side post will be split down the center and then come over, and I'll have, I figured, about 10 inches of elevation from above the seat. I don't know how true that's going to be. Either way, I'm still going to put a back on, even though the back would be kind of in the lumbar area, unless I figure out a different way to do it. But I want to get this here to that stage there, and then I can figure out what I need to do for a back. Last night when it was just about dark, I went ahead and placed the post, or the side rails, whatever you want to call it, and then spaced it out. So now I'm going to mark this and then cut the two out and set that inside of that, see how level it is, because I know that's going to be a challenge. I'm working with non-conventional lumber with a chainsaw, not a mill, so everything's not going to be precise at all, but I'm going to try to get as close as possible. So now that's the next step. Well, now that looks pretty good there. It's a little but wobbly, but once I secure it with fasteners, that should take the wobble out. Now I need to figure out about this back deal. Because the problem being, the back is going to be right at your lumbar. And I really want it to be up here. So I got to figure, I do want a back on it, but I don't want a back to where you're going to set into it and your rear end's going to be right up against it. So let me do some figuring and I'll get back with you. Okay, so what I have done here is the sideboards, or the logs there, were 28 inches. They, now looking back on it, they need to be about 40 inches in order to do what I wanted to do. However, the 28-inch logs were just about over what my capabilities of moving and handling them were. So adding another 12 inches of heavy, thick wood, it just was not, even now looking back, oh, I should have cut them 40. There's no way I could have handled them. So cutting the logs to get the seat to fit in there, I took and brought those up and then fastened them to the top of the log, and it is very, very firm. I put about 4 nails, 3, 4, 5-inch nails, I think they're 4-inch nails in there. Firms it up very nicely. Same on that side. Now, and then I put, as you saw, I put a long 5-inch nail in the seat on both sides to secure it down. Now, there is a gap there. Okay, fine, so what? It's a log bench. Just the way it's going to be. Same thing on this side over here. There's a little lip there. Okay, fine, whatever. But this gets me to the height in which the back needs to be to have a back on the thing, on the bench. So I think I'm going to go cut a piece. I don't think I'm going to have to square this up. I think, you know, also I've thought before and it's been wrong. Since this is at an angle, that's at an angle, I believe I can fix the back on without having to do any more trimming, and then this would be complete. You have a back on it, you can lay on it, you can dance on it, whatever you want. You probably drive a truck on it, you'd be fine. So that is what I'm going to do. As you can see over there, it's kind of got a slant to it. So this actually is going to work in my benefit because I squared everything off. But whenever I cut these, apparently they were a little wonky, or whatever the case is, and they both got the same slant to them. So one of them happy accidents, as Bob Ross. So I'm just going to go down to the bottom of the hill. I know there's a pine tree down there that's about 5 inches in diameter, which would be ideal for what I want. Split it in half and then attach it to the back here, and that will be what I need. Practically that is the right move to make, but boy, that is a very big bench, 7 foot wide at the seat, and then when you add the other portions on, you're looking at almost 8 foot. Looks nice though. Gonna take and split it in the shade, not in the sun. Alrighty. I think the chain is getting dull, but with the pine it's much easier to cut, and boy, that looks just about, I don't know if you can tell. Let's see if we can get a shot at this. Pretty straight. There's some ebbs and flows, but for a chainsaw freehand, I'm very pleased with that. So I'll bring that up. I'll take that up. I'll knock the barbs off of it with the axe. This looks like it's going to work the way I want it to. At completion, it will look like that. Now I just got to fixate. I got to fix the back on there somehow. It's a little off, but not terrible. So let me get that figured out, how I'm going to do this. I got to pre-drill the holes anyway. And I think I'm going to put a nail on each side and then a couple of screws, and I think that's going to be good. So the bench is complete. I added a couple more 5-inch nails on the top pillars here. Put 3 5-inch nails in the back. It's got a good slant to it. The seat's comfortable. It's like you're sitting on a park bench. It's 6 foot inside to inside, 6 foot 11.5 inches long. Outside to outside is like 7, almost a foot long, about 7.5, 7 foot 7. Extremely heavy. Happy that it's put together. It's gonna, even though there's some cracks and gaps and stuff, it's gonna be a solid piece of wood bench for a very long time. So very happy. You can lay down on it, you can stretch out on it, but it's got that back, and that's the important part. And I'll bring you around back here. I didn't peel the bark off of it at all. I just left it as is. So very, very pleased with it. That project is done, and it's a nice addition to the campsite.